Hello everyone, I'm Miss Dina, and welcome to our lesson on fractions, decimals, and percentages. Understanding fractions. Fractions are numbers that represent parts of a whole. They help us describe situations where something is divided into equal parts. In this lesson, we will focus on understanding fractions clearly and correctly. We will also learn how a fraction represents division of the numerator by the denominator. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how to represent and use fractions confidently.
A fraction is made up of two numbers separated by a fraction bar. The top number is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. The denominator tells us how many equal parts the whole is divided into. The numerator tells us how many of those parts are being considered. For example, in 3/5, the whole is divided into 5 equal parts, and 3 parts are selected. Understanding these parts helps us read and write fractions correctly.
A fraction can also be understood as a form of division. The numerator is divided by the denominator. For example, the fraction 4/2 means 4 divided by 2. This shows that a fraction represents both a part of a whole and a division statement. When we divide the numerator by the denominator, we can sometimes express the fraction as a whole number or a decimal. Understanding this connection strengthens our number knowledge.
A proper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. This means the value of the fraction is less than 1 whole. For example, 2/7 is a proper fraction because 2 parts are less than 7 equal parts. Proper fractions represent quantities that are smaller than 1 complete unit. Recognizing proper fractions helps us compare values easily. This understanding is important when solving fraction problems.
A fraction can also act as an operator, which means it tells us to take a part of a number. For example, finding 1/2 of 10 means dividing 10 into 2 equal parts. This gives us 5. When we use a fraction as an operator, we multiply or divide to find the required part. This method helps us solve real-life problems involving sharing and grouping. Understanding fractions as operators improves problem-solving skills.
Fractions can be shown using diagrams such as circles, rectangles, or number lines. When a shape is divided into equal parts, each part represents a fraction of the whole. Shading certain parts helps us see the numerator clearly. It is important that the parts are equal in size. Visual models make fractions easier to understand. They help us connect numbers with real examples.
We can compare fractions by looking at their numerators and denominators. If the denominators are the same, the fraction with the larger numerator is greater. For example, 4/9 is greater than 2/9. If the numerators are the same, the fraction with the smaller denominator is greater. Comparing fractions helps us arrange them in order. This skill builds confidence when working with numbers.
In today's lesson, we learned about fractions and how they represent parts of a whole. We understood that a fraction can also show division of the numerator by the denominator. We explored proper fractions and how fractions can act as operators. Visual models helped us understand fractions more clearly. These concepts form the foundation for learning decimals and percentages. Continue practicing to strengthen your understanding of fractions.